When technical observers report massive black triangles, they describe a specific set of characteristics: the ability to hover in total silence, followed by acceleration that appears to ignore the laws of inertia. This arc of 7 glowing orbs represents a visual record of those reported flight patterns. While these accounts are often categorized as science fiction or evidence of extraterrestrial visitors, a search of the federal record reveals a different origin. The United States Navy currently holds the legal blueprints for this exact technology. This is U.S. Patent 10.144.532b2, titled Craft Using an Inertial Mass Reduction Device. It is assigned directly to the Secretary of the Navy. The inventor, Dr. Salvatore Pais, developed these protocols while operating out of the Naval Air Station Patuxent River, the military's primary hub for advanced flight testing. The trail for the TR-3B moves from speculative sightings into a forensic reality documented within the public files of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. The patent describes an engine core centered around a magnetic field disruptor. This is a toroidal, or donut-shaped, field generator with a hollow internal cavity. This system is designed to handle power in the gigawatt to terawatt range. This immense electrical load is managed by a secondary patented device, a plasma compression fusion reactor, which feeds the external superconducting coils. These coils generate a rotating magnetic field that traps a mercury-based plasma inside the ring. The system accelerates this pressurized plasma to 60,000 RPM, turning the fluid into a high-velocity vortex. This rapid rotation of charged matter is the mechanical requirement for inducing what the Navy calls the Pais Effect. This process relies on a principle called the Lenz-Thirring effect. When a massive, charged object spins at relativistic speeds, it physically drags the fabric of spacetime along with it. It twists the local vacuum like a drill bit spinning in a glass of water. The goal is to create a local polarized vacuum, a bubble of altered physics that completely encloses the craft's hull and separates it from the environment outside. Inside this bubble, the craft's inertial mass, the resistance an object feels when you try to move it, is reduced to near zero. By decoupling the vehicle from the zero-point field, the Navy claims the craft can achieve extreme speeds with almost no physical effort. This explains why these vehicles don't produce a sonic boom. The ship isn't moving through the air, it is moving the metric of space itself. Because the inertia inside the bubble is neutralized, the craft can execute a 90-degree turn at supersonic speeds without destroying the airframe or the pilot. In this framework, the TR-3B isn't breaking the laws of physics. It is using high-frequency resonance to bypass them. The records of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office document a significant institutional struggle over this technology. When the Navy first submitted the mass reduction patent, federal examiners initially rejected it as scientifically impossible. The Navy did not accept the rejection. Instead, they provided a high-level technical rebuttal to prove the technology was more than just a theoretical concept. Dr. James Sheehy, the Chief Technology Officer of the Naval Aviation Enterprise, personally intervened to secure the patent's approval. This is the Sheehy Declaration. In this official statement to the Patent Office, the Navy's top technologist swore that the mass reduction effect was operable and had already been reduced to practice. Platforms like the B-2 Spirit represent the pinnacle of conventional aerodynamics, using radar-absorbent materials and specialized shapes to hide from sensors. The Pais patents describe a different approach entirely, a non-Newtonian architecture where the craft no longer has to fight against the atmosphere. By filing these technical receipts and sworn declarations into the public record, the U.S. Navy has moved the secret space program out of the realm of speculation and into the federal archives.
Welcome to this explainer. Right up front, the government tells you anti-gravity is impossible, but we're going to show you how the U.S. Navy actually owns the official patent for it. Using math they essentially scavenged from a civilian back in the 1950s. We're diving into a cold, factual, and totally undeniable forensic audit of the U.S. Patent Office ledger. No rumors, no blurry photos today, guys. We are stepping right into a massive, documented contradiction hidden in plain sight, and we're strictly following the paper trail.
So I want to kick things off by asking a pretty provocative question based on the documents we're analyzing today. Is anti-gravity actually physically impossible? Now, if you ask standard academic institutions, they're going to give you a resounding yes. Absolutely impossible. But as you'll see, our sources claim the government's own official filings suggest a radically different reality.
Just look at this incredible contrast from our sources. Over on the left, we've got the mainstream academic consensus, which completely writes off mass reduction and anti-gravity tech as pure science fiction. But then, look on the right. That is the actual U.S. public patent record, and it tells a completely different story. The public narrative says no way, but the U.S. Navy literally holds a public patent for this exact technology.
Okay, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to hit the impossible patent, then Exhibit A, the civilian, the Biefeld-Brown effect, the Archonic erasure, Exhibit B, the Navy, and finally, the final verdict.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the impossible patent, and the origin of the Navy's modern mass reduction.
Our source material relentlessly anchors on this specific document right here. U.S. Patent 10,144,532 officially granted in 2018 to the United States Navy, authored by aerospace engineer Dr. Salvatore Pais. It outlines a craft using an inertial mass reduction device. The documents assert this isn't just some theoretical whiteboard exercise. It's a declassified schematic for engineering the very fabric of reality, actively reducing a vehicle's mass so we can achieve extreme speeds and instantaneous acceleration.
Moving on to Section 2, Exhibit A, the civilian. This is the origin point of the stolen physics.
You've got to ask, where exactly did the Navy get the math for this incredible physics? Well, the texts map out a really clear chronological continuity. They claim this didn't start in some dark, classified military lab. It actually started with a civilian physicist named Thomas Townsend Brown back in the 1920s. This timeline tracks how his initial discovery moved through successful vacuum chamber tests in the 50s, was legally patented in 1960, and ultimately culminated in those modern naval disclosures from 2018 we just looked at.
That brings us to Section 3, the Biefeld-Brown effect, and how you actually engineer anti-gravity.
The absolutely crucial concept to grasp here is electrogravitics. The sources explain it like this. Take an asymmetrical capacitor. Imagine a thin wire acting as the positive pole and a wide, flat dome as the negative pole. Now blast it with a massive, high-voltage direct current. When you do that, the object generates a net directional thrust. It essentially proves that you can theoretically achieve propulsion without any moving parts, no propellers, and zero jet exhaust.
And here it is. This equation is the crux of the whole argument. Force, meaning the thrust, is mathematically proportional to the absolute permittivity of the dielectric medium. That's the epsilon there, times the square of the applied electric field times the plate area. According to the forensic audit in our sources, this incredibly elegant equation is the allegedly stolen foundation of anti-gravity physics.
Let's look at Section 4, the Archonic erasure, the cover-up of Thomas Townsend Brown.
So what happened after Brown proved this math actually worked? According to the text, the academic establishment quickly tried to dismiss his findings as just a simple ion wind. They claimed the high voltage was literally just pushing air molecules around to create a breeze. But Brown completely obliterated that excuse in the 1950s during Project Montgolfier. He put his flying discs inside a hard vacuum chamber, pumped all the air out, and cranked up the voltage. And guess what? Without any air to create a wind, the craft still generated thrust and flew. He mathematically proved the effect was manipulating localized gravity, not just air currents.
Before his life's work was allegedly buried under a mountain of national security mandates, Brown successfully secured his electrokinetic apparatus with U.S. Patent Office in 1960. You can literally go look up this exact public patent number today. U.S. Patent 2949550A. It represents the physical blueprints of electrogravitic flight, just sitting right there on the public record.
So how did they bury it? Well, according to our sources, a totally deliberate historical erasure was executed. Brown's civilian funding was systematically cut off. Massive disinformation campaigns were launched. The very term electrogravitics was entirely purged from mainstream scientific journals by 1958. The sources argue this whole suppression allowed black-budget defense contractors to silently scavenge his patents and build incredibly advanced craft behind closed doors, all while keeping you and me securely trapped in the standard fossil fuel paradigm.
Which brings us to Section 5, Exhibit B, the Navy, and what amounts to an official confession.
Let's dig into the modern proof of this continuing lineage. Now, I know this sounds like a sci-fi movie, but theoretically, Dr. Pais's modern U.S. Navy patent works in 4 distinct steps. First, a resonant cavity filled with a noble gas is subjected to accelerated vibration or spin using piezoelectric materials. This generates intensely powerful electromagnetic fields, which in turn creates a localized polarized vacuum bubble around the craft. By artificially lowering the vacuum energy density, the inertial mass drops. This allows the craft to effectively decouple from terrestrial inertia and move instantaneously. It's wild stuff.
And it doesn't stop with just one patent. The source texts cross-reference multiple declassified schematics to show that the Navy holds all the interlocking, patented components you'd need to build this engine. They've got the mass reduction device for movement, a patented plasma compression fusion device to generate the massive gigawatt power required, and even older patents like barium titanate dielectrics to handle the extreme electrical loads. On paper, it is a complete, fully integrated technological system.
But here is the absolute smoking gun of this entire forensic audit. When the Patent Office initially pushed back on the physics of Dr. Pais's device, an official sworn declaration was submitted by Dr. James Sheehy. He was the Chief Technology Officer of the Naval Aviation Enterprise in 2017. He stated on the record that the technology is operable and has been reduced to practice. Let that sink in. The sources argued this is a high-level official admission that this is operational hardware, not just some theoretical desk experiment.
Okay, let's bring it all together in Section 6, the final verdict, the scavenged physics of the Black Fleet.
The texts firmly assert that those massive, hovering military platforms, the ones often reported by civilians and referred to as the TR-3B Black Manta, they don't rely on jet combustion. They don't use standard aerodynamics. Instead, the documents claim they rely entirely on the mathematically verifiable physics of electrokinetics and the Biefeld-Brown mass reduction effect. The exact same physics originally patented by Townsend Brown in the 50s and officially modernized by the Navy today.
So the really crucial takeaway here from this audit is this. The history of modern stealth and aerospace isn't just a straight linear progression of humans building slightly better jet engines over time. The documents assert it's actually a documented 75-year scavenger hunt of mass reduction physics, starting all the way back from early civilian discoveries and culminating in modern, localized space-time metric manipulation.
To quickly summarize the forensic takedown we've looked at today, mass reduction physics originated with a civilian discovery in the 1920s. Those findings were allegedly erased by national security mandates to protect deep-seated energy monopolies. The math was then successfully scavenged and weaponized into modern aerospace kinetics by the military. And the undeniable paper trail for all of this? It's sitting right there, locked but publicly visible in the U.S. Patent Office.
Which leaves us with this final, highly provocative thought to consider. If the literal blueprints in mathematics for anti-gravity and inertial mass reduction are hiding in plain sight on the public patent record, what else is the military locked away in the dark vaults of the Patent Office? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, guys. Until next time, keep questioning and keep looking at the data.